Okay. Hi, I'm Caleb McKinstry, one of the IT consultants in Cheltenham. I'm just going to do a knowledge guide for those who know how to use a ventilator in ICU but may end up in theatres ventilating COVID patients using an anaesthetic machine. And these are different beasts to ICU ventilators. In some ways the ventilation modes are very similar, but in many ways they're very, very different, and you can get yourself a bit caught out by them. I just want to try and make this as stress-free an experience as possible. So you're going to approach the machine and you may find it completely turned off, and hopefully we'll have lots of anaesthetic assistants around who can sort this out for you. But if you need to start it yourselves, you start basically the way you would with an ICU ventilator. You've got an air hose and you've got an oxygen hose, a vacuum hose for your suction, scavenging, which will need to be plugged in, and this blue hose is for nitrous oxide, so don't worry too much about that, but it's easy if you just plug all the different hoses in. On the back up here, you've got a backup oxygen cylinder, and you can turn it on to check the pressure within it, and the full one should have 136 bar, and the gauge is down here at the front. A half full one will have about 70 bar, it goes down linearly, and really you want to make sure you've got at least a good 50 bar in it, or else you want to change the cylinder as a backup. The on switch is simply here, and the circuit we use is a standard double-ring circuit. The ones we use in the ICU ventilators will do, and it plugs in. This bit gets chucked out like a standard ICU circuit onto the ventilator side. You'll need an HME valve. In fact, we're going to need two, because you're going to put one in here on the expiratory limb, but I've only got one, I don't want to waste one, and that'll be a double protection for not getting COVID in the system. And then one, just like you would in ICU, on the catheter mount. This will be a standard ICU catheter mount within the suction, as you would do on the unit. I'm going to put a big bag on here just to replicate the patient like a test. Monitor, turn on, and we'll have a catheter graft tubing, which is a bit different to our ICU tubing. It's much more simple and it doesn't have a filter in it. And I'm going to take that straight off the HME and screw it in to the HME port here, which is different to IT. And the catheter graft tubing will screw in to the gas module there. This comes into the system check screen, and you just press continue, and the machine will work its way through a self-check, and you just do everything that it tells you. So gas supply is alright, breathing tubes, gas module, outlet sample gas return is this tube here, and make sure that's attached. The water trap in the breathing system, this will be dry and I wouldn't worry about that. The AGSS is the scavenging, and there is a float to check the scavenging, but don't worry about that because we're not going to be using volatiles, and this is volatile anaesthetic agent, and we'll probably take these off the machines. This is a circle system where the gases go round, come out, go round in the patient, come back again, and the CO2 is removed by soda lime, which uses the chemical reaction to take the CO2 away, and this allows us to use much lower gas flows in these machines than you would do normally. So you want to check that CO2 is the correct colour. I think you can safely make the assumption that this will be fresh when we come to, because all these machines will be prepped. You know when the CO2 is starting to run out, the soda lime is starting to run out, because your inspired CO2 level will actually start going up, and once it gets up to about 0.71 kilopascal, you want to be changing the soda lime, but there will be anaesthetists around anaesthetic department practitioners who will look at this for you. And then we've got an O2 flush to check. Use this O2 flush button here. This will fill up the bag. And this is with everything set onto the manual circuit here. Press continue, and it just works itself right through the self-test here. So the white piece plugs into the block here. And then we just press continue. And it says turn this to the auto position. It's quite idiot proof, which is why I can use it. Okay, this come up as a pass. If it comes up with a fail, you're going to have to ask one of the anaesthetic assistants what to do about that. Continue again. And now, we turn the APL valve onto 50. We've got a manual bag on. Sorry. The manual bag is a bag on here because this may not come with a bag on already. And then we press continue with this in the manual position. I'm just working through what this tells me in the instructions on the screen. It's checked and ready. So we open up the APL valve. I'm going to put all this onto the bag here just so people understand what's happening. Now when this is in the manual switch here, this effectively turns it into a water circuit. So you've got your gas flows are here, and that's your oxygen flow and a digital flow meter, and you've got air as well. We're just going to turn off oxygen. So say you want to give your patient a bag, then you can squeeze this bag here and the patient's lungs will go in and out. Now, the valve here is the same as a valve in a water circuit. So if you tighten it down and get this flush to fill the system up, then no gas will come out. And if you release it, then gas will come out. And it's like a green bag, you just tighten and loosen the APL valve to get the volumes of the patient that you want. And that's very simply how the manual side works. When you go onto the ventilator side, all you have to do, rather than disconnect the patient, reconnect, is you flip on auto. And what will happen now is this machine will ventilate by default on volume control ventilation. Now this is alarming because the bag compliance is very poor. So I'm just going to change the alarms here, and everything is touch screen. You just touch the screen and change the alarm and press enter. It's very, very intuitive. You've got all the usual different modes that you would like to see on an ICU ventilator. You've got SIMV volume control, pressure control ventilation, SIMV pressure control, pressure support, and PCV-VG is very much like PRVC, and that would be our standard mode that we use by default. So you hit that, check your numbers here, press set mode. And we're going to be ventilating around 6 mils per kilo as we do any other patient. You can adjust the PEEP, you can adjust your pressure limit. I'm going to turn this pressure limit up just because this bag is really stiff. And you get the same flow pictures that we get on an ITU ventilator, it's all very much the same. Now I've got 7 litres of oxygen dialed up here. You do not set the FiO2 on these machines the same way as you do on the ICU ventilators. The oxygen as the patient is getting will be on the display here because it's picked up on the CO2 line. If you want to give less oxygen, what you have to do is start adding in air. And it's a bit of suck it and see really. So say if you want to give 50%, you might go down to 40% oxygen here and 60% air, and that might work out about 50%. And you just have to tweak these dials to get the number that you want. And there's a lag in the system because the system's got lots of capacitance. And you may wonder, well, why can we change all these different flow rates? And the reason is that this machine is designed to use low flows to save money and to use less volatile anaesthetic, which is very important for giving anaesthetics, but for intensive care it doesn't matter so much. So what numbers will you start to set on? Well, I think you need total flows of probably about 6 or 8 litres to start off for most patients. When you get more comfortable with the machine, you can go down in those flows, and that might be important if we start getting an issue with oxygen supplies. And you can go down to very low flows in this machine, down to about half or 1 litre quite happily. And the only problem you'll get is that if there's a leak in the system, and this is different to IG ventilators, is the bellows will collapse. So if I was saying do patient disconnection, and this would happen with patient suction as well, we do inline suction, is the bellows will collapse. And when the bellows will collapse, then the patient will not ventilate after the bellows are empty. And the machine will start alarming. And when you get the machine alarming, always check that there's gas in the bellows. If you've had a disconnection or there's a leak somewhere in the system, the fastest way to get around it is to press the oxygen flush button and just keep pressing it until the bellows are full. And if your bellows keep recurrently collapsing, then turn the flows up here until you work out where the leak is, because you've got the leak somewhere in the system. It might be around the tube of the patient, or it might be a leak somewhere. ITU ventilators cope with these leaks much better and much more automatically than these anaesthetic machines do. And that is the real way you're going to get caught out with these machines. When we come to weaning the patients, it'll be a case of going on to pressure support. And the pressure support numbers are very much the same as you would have in an ITU ventilator. So that's pressure support of 8 on a peak of 5 with a backup. And you press set mode and the patient won't ventilate, but there's an apnea backup. As soon as the patient triggers a breath, then the bellows move. And it's kind of like, just like an ITU ventilator, except you can actually see the mechanics of the machine working. So I'm going to go back onto manual here just to stop this alarming. It probably will give an apnea alarm a little bit. Other things to be aware of is your suction is actually built in here. So you can turn on the full suction, and the suction is down here, and you'll be able to just follow that through and work it out. And if you check the suction, if you click it, it'll go down by minus 60, and that way you know it's working fine. And that's full suction or just pressure regulated suction. The same way as ITU suction works. Okay, I think that's really all I want to say. We're all available if you want to have a chat, and you won't be left with these machines to start with, but hopefully it's just demystified us a little bit. They are really quite simple once you get used to them, but the circle side does get a bit of getting your head around when you start. And the secret is keep the flows high until you get familiar with them. If the bellows collapse, give an oxygen flush, and effectively treat it the same. And it is quite nice if you want to do some bagging with the patient, as you just flip onto the manual setting without having to disconnect the patient. And that makes it probably a bit safer for COVID actually. Thank you very much.